A little while ago, I made a video talking about the 3 underrated gems of Steam. Those were very small games that almost no one knew about, and you seem to like it, and this is the great way for you to discover amazing games that no one knows about, and it's also a great way for developers to get their games discovered without actually spending a bunch of money on marketing that in many cases are just useless. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you 3 more underrated gems of Steam, the games that I played recently and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Those are in no way the thoroughest and deepest reviews of the game, but it will give you understanding of what those games are, and maybe if you want to support the developers with your wallets or just with word to mouth, or just ignore them completely. Then today it will be a little bit different compared to the previous one, because today I wanted to put one game, which will be the third one in the list, that is far larger and far more known than the other games, but is still not played by enough people, and it's still relatively unknown compared to other AA or AAA games. And the first game that I want to talk about is CyberCorp, or CyberCorp, whatever it's pronounced. CyberCorp is actually a twin-stick looter shooter. And to give you a very brief and very easy understanding of what this game is like, is if you'll take Diablo, make it a shooter, and put it in a cyberpunk setting. That's basically a very simplest explanation of what this game actually is. And in this case, you're controlling synths. If you want to say just robots. And with that, it gave me a feeling of a Warframe. So basically, you're controlling the robots remotely from your base. Just not put your character in any danger. And you work for a powerful corporation. And the game features very aggressive gunplay, diverse weapon types, and variety of missions that keep players engaged. And it's all in neon-lit futuristic environment. The game is very fast-paced, and the gameplay is actually not very difficult. To give you a rundown of how this game plays, well, first this is the twin-stick shooter. Basically, if you're playing on a controller, one stick is controlling your movement, another stick is controlling your, well, direction and aim. And when enemies come, you just shoot them until they die. Extremely simple explanation. But it also has a takedown mechanics, just like in Doom. When you shoot enemies enough, when their HP goes low enough, you can actually perform a takedown, basically insta-killing them. But to perform a takedown, you need to be at the melee range. So this gives you kind of like additional danger. The game also has a Games of War-esque reload mechanics. So basically, when you empty your mag, if you want to reload instantly, you need to press reload one more time on a specific time when the prompt will be available on the screen. Some people like it, some people don't. I did not mind that much, but it actually kind of takes away from the heat of a battle a little bit. And yeah, it was not the best thing that I actually enjoyed it. But the fun thing is, of course, the loot, because this is a looter shooter. And loot-wise, you have a bunch of different weapons, like it can be assault rifles, machine guns, sniper rifles, and all of those weapons have different damage types and different modifiers. Then they're fun to use. But you also have a equipment as well, like for example, different type of torso, legs, or head elements, because you're controlling actually different synths. And you also have actually 2 abilities. These 2 abilities can be a blinking or performing additional takedowns and things like that. But not gonna lie, I did not use a lot of additional abilities in this game. And because the game is quite fast-paced, you need to actually move around very quickly. And not gonna lie, I actually enjoyed playing this, but there is big but here. This game is in early access, so this game is actually not fully done. Even though gameplay is quite fun and quite interesting, it's not actually fully complete, and it's been ironed out almost constantly. Updates are coming out almost weekly, and game actually also plays perfectly on Steam Deck or any handheld PCs. But I'm gonna have to address one elephant in the room, and it is track record of developers. Because yeah, some people will be mentioning that. And it's their bootleg version of Raft. Yes, they actually have the game called Raft, which is basically a bootleg, literal bootleg version of an original Raft. And some people do not like the developers because of that. But I would like to judge people based on what they do right now, not what they did in the past. At least how I feel like with this game, or in these developers in this case. Game is available on Steam for $14.99, and you can check it out yourself. Then next game is called Trappist, and it's a great game for the lovers of space games and city management and strategy genre. So in this game, you're actually arriving in a Trappist 1 system. For the ones who doesn't know, this is a real-life star system with multiple different Earth-like planets, or rather Earth-sized planets. And you are controlling Ark. Ark basically is a spaceship where you can build different buildings and where your basic colonists are frozen, and which will be the central node of your operations. And your goal is to travel from planet to planet, survey and explore those planets, and build bases on those planets. And the game actually consists of basically 2 elements. this is your space element, which allows you to travel from planet to planet, and second is planetary element, where you just descend on a planet and you start building buildings of those planets. And this is where the city management actually comes into play, because you need to control energy input, you need to control the happiness of your colonies, the number of your colonies, their amenities and things like that, and you're building basically a fully functioning space colony on this Trappist 1 system. And players actually need to balance the needs of colonists and manage resources effectively to navigate the challenges of this, well, extraterrestrial environments. The endgame is actually quite challenging and quite interesting, and if you like challenge of controlling multiple different elements and multiple different planets all at once, this is it. And game actually does have story as well, meaning that you are not actually limited to do things aimlessly. One thing that needs to be noted is, of course, the game's simplicity and its ease of run on basically anything, including your handheld PCs. And I'm telling you this constantly because this part is actually important in today's day and age. And game feels and runs incredibly amazing. But there is a big elephant in the room, and it is game's longevity. If you're gonna go through it pretty quickly, this game is not very long, or rather it's not an infinite game like many city builders are. If you're gonna go through it rather quickly, you can easily complete this game in under 10 hours. But if you take your time, as you should, it's easily 20-30 hour experience. But that's actually need to be noted. Game is still fully out, it's not an early access experience, and it's available for $14.99. And last but not least is a game that I wanted to talk about quite extensively, and maybe I will even record a full review for, and it is Mortal Sin. So while previous games actually had under 100 reviews and not a lot of people were actually playing it knowing about this game, Mortal Sin has over 2,000 reviews, so it's not actually quite unknown. But still, not enough people are actually playing it. But the ones who play it almost universally love it, with a 96% overwhelmingly positive rating. And Mortal Sin is an incredible game. To give you an understanding, this is an actually first-person roguelike. Yeah, another roguelike. You probably do not like this word, but in this case, you're gonna love this one. So you are playing in this weird world, and you are playing this as a warrior. Let's just call him a warrior right now. And your goal is to complete those trials. And these trials are basically defeating different type of enemies and completing these different levels. And this is a first-person melee combat game, but it is incredibly fast-paced, and incredibly vicious, and incredibly amazing experience. It's very difficult to explain what this game is without actually playing it. It's basically if Doom was a melee game, but it's also incredibly deep and very rewarding experience. Because in this game, you actually have a class system. As you progress through the game, you actually unlock different classes, and each class plays completely differently. As you also progress through the levels, you also gain different type of equipment, upgrade your equipment, get more weapons, gain special abilities, gain special modifiers, and every single one will be different, but mainly because of different classes. So classes are actually playing completely differently because, yeah, you are specializing on different weapons. Like, for example, if you're gonna play the regular Wanderer class, if I'm remembering it well, you're not specializing on anything, and basically can find with anything and everything, and you don't have any special abilities. But if you're gonna play with the class like Monk, your preferred type of combat will be unarmed. But because you're not unarmed, you will be able to move extremely quickly and hit enemies very fast and very hard. And you also have additional ability where you actually cast this ability, and every time you kill enemies, they explode. And there are a bunch of other classes, like for example, there are Mage that is focusing with a Morningstar weapon, which is incredibly weird, and there's also Berserker that fights with incredibly large, comically large sword, which special ability is just to rotate with your giant ass sword uncontrollably, mowing anything and everything in your path. There is also, I think it's called Samurai class, if I'm not wrong, if I'm remembering it right, but you will katana there, which slices and chops enemies like crazy. And enemies do actually have a damage model, like dismembering or beheading and things like that. And don't let this game looks fool you, because the colors are actually customizable in the game, and it feels incredibly amazing to play this game. And the fact that this game cannot even reach 100 simultaneous players is simply a crime. Oh, and of course, it plays amazingly on a handheld, and I absolutely love playing it on a road, and you absolutely must get this game. This is a $20 game, but it is absolutely worth every single cent. So I highly suggest you to get this. Well, I guess this will be it for today. Those three are amazing games. My special favorite is, of course, Mortal Sin, but other two are also great games. So I highly suggest you to get them or check them out at least. And if you haven't checked my previous video about the hidden gems, you can check it right here. And if you simply like single player games, I have an entire list of them right here as well. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe right here as well. This will be for today. I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care.